You've heard of names like Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Tony Stewart, Richard Petty, and Dale Earnhardt, correct? I'm sure you have, at least one of them. There are other drivers that competed in NASCAR along the way too, and this is going to be a series dedicated to those drivers. The guys that were there, they won championships, they won races, they did really well, but never really got the attention they deserved because of the megastars like the Jeff Gordons and the Dale Earnhardts of that time. So today, we're going to start this off with one of my favorite drivers, Terry Labonte. So like I said, today we're going to talk about the career of the Iceman, Terry Labonte. He raced full-time in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series from 1979 up to 2004 and actually just missed out on winning Rookie of the Year in 1979 to that guy, Mr. Dale Earnhardt. 1 year later, though, in 1980, Terry would go on to win his first race in the Southern 500, and a couple years later in 1984, he would go win his first championship driving the number 44 Piedmont Hagen Motorsports Chevrolet. Now, Terry drove a pretty good stint for Hagen Motorsports, but would later move on to Junior Johnson and Associates, driving the famed Budweiser number 11 that you see above, taking over for Jaws, Darrell Waltrip. Now, he would drive for Junior Johnson for a couple years, move on to a couple other teams, and then wind up somewhere pretty familiar to you guys. That's right. If you watched NASCAR in the 90s and the early 2000s, you probably recognize that number 5 Kellogg Chevy. Terry would, in 1994, sign with Hendrick Motorsports, and that's where he would finish out his career. And, man, it's such a good-looking car. This thing is so recognizable that when Kyle Larson drives this today, people still say that's Terry's car. Signing on with Hendrick Motorsports would wind up being the best thing, in my opinion, to happen to Terry. This was the resurgence of his career. He was fast again. They won a bunch of races throughout the 90s and another championship in 1996. So it made him have the longest, they call it a drought, between two championships, 1984 to 1996, at 12 years between championships, or a career for a lot of people. Now, that 5 car was fast throughout the rest of the 90s, getting wins, top 5s, top 10 finishes, but like all great things, unfortunately, they do have to come to an end. And in 2004, Terry would retire from full-time competition, but in 2003, he had one more trick left up his sleeve and would win the Southern 500. Now, this was such a cool race. He went on to lead 33 laps and was in the top 5 just hanging around the whole day. I remember watching this. It was really cool seeing him, like, one last resurgence of that 5 car. After retirement, Terry Labonte would go on to be named one of NASCAR's 75 greatest drivers of all time. And this is very well deserved given the stat sheet. 2 championships, 22 wins, over 300 top 5, top 10 finishes, and just one hell of a career from a longevity standpoint. And this is why, in my opinion, he's one of the most underappreciated NASCAR drivers.